I can't afford that. Hi there, Internet. My name's Court, and you've got courtside seats for my, don't worry, spoiler-free review of Star Wars The Last Jedi. Let's do it. Star Wars The Last Jedi is the second film in the sequel trilogy and the 8th episode overall. The film is written and directed by Rian Johnson and stars Mark Hamill, Daisy Ridley, Carrie Fisher, John Boyega, Oscar Isaac, Laura Dern, Benicio del Toro, Adam Driver, Andy Serkis, Domhnall Gleeson, Gwendoline Christie, and Kelly Marie Tran. Rey develops her newly discovered abilities with the guidance of Luke Skywalker, who is unsettled by the strength of her powers. Meanwhile, the Resistance prepares to do battle with the First Order. Now, I'm going to get this out of the way. One of the reasons that people didn't like The Force Awakens, or one of the big problems that people had with The Force Awakens was, and as much as I loved it, there is a certain amount of truth here, it's a bit of a carbon copy of A New Hope. Fortunately, The Last Jedi is not a carbon copy of Empire. There are elements of Empire in there, and there are elements of Jedi in there as well, but it's very much its own thing. Now, we'll talk about acting first as per usual. Everybody does a good job in this movie. Nobody's bad, although Benicio del Toro does one thing that's kind of weird, but whatever. But the standouts to me, I'll talk about just quickly. Adam Driver, I thought, was really good in this one. He's still, he's taken his character a little bit further, but he's very, very interesting and a little bit more introspective, and I thought he was really good. Andy Serkis as Snoke, I will point out, Snoke definitely looks better in this film than he did in The Force Awakens, partially because he's not just a hologram. But Andy Serkis is straight up doing the Caesar voice. Oscar Isaac is really good in this one again. He's very, very funny. More on that later. But of course, we got to talk about Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill. Carrie Fisher didn't have a whole lot to do in The Force Awakens. Her role in this film is quite a bit bigger, and she really does nail it. It is pretty bittersweet seeing, the last of Carrie Fisher and presumably the last of Leia, but she does give a really solid performance. And Mark Hamill. Dude crushes it as this new, wizened, grumpy Luke Skywalker. He's not the boyish Luke Skywalker that we all remember, and it really does work, and he really brings it. This film is a visual masterstroke. The space battles, the dogfights, they all look amazing. The vehicle designs, the new weapon designs are really cool. A lot of the creature designs are very neat. There's a lot of practical stuff going on. Obviously, there's quite a bit of CGI as well, but it all looks really, really good. There's a battle on a planet called Crate. You've seen it in the trailer. This is the planet that's covered in like a layer of white salt, but under that is this rich, vibrant red soil, and the contrast is absolutely beautiful. And there is one visual moment in this movie, and you'll know it when you see it. It is from a visual standpoint, one of the best moments I've ever seen in Star Wars. When it happened, my entire theater just kind of went like, whoa. The story, if you haven't seen the movie yet, be very careful watching reviews. I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but like Variety put a huge spoiler in their review. Luckily, I read that after seeing the movie. So be careful, because this movie goes to some crazy places that you're not going to see coming. Luke says in the trailer and in the movie, this is not going to go the way you think, and I kind of think that was Rian Johnson talking to us as the audience, and he would be correct. Like I said, this story goes to some crazy places, most of which I really enjoyed. So first off, let's talk about Rey and Luke. They had amazing chemistry together, and it's so interesting to see this guy that Luke has become and Rey trying to connect with him. Daisy Ridley said at Comic-Con or something like a year ago, be careful meeting your heroes because you never know, and that's very much a thing that happens here. Great dynamic between the two of them. I really liked Kylo Ren's story. Like I was saying, they take the sort of bedrock that they laid down for his character in the first film and really explore it quite a bit more. The Resistance storyline of the film is pretty good for the most part, though towards the end of the film, I felt it was starting to get a little bit repetitive. And there's one thing that happens with Leia in the second act that just, for me, was way too much. It was way over the top. It was goofy, but not in the fun Star Wars goofy way. It was just kind of silly and really took me out of the moment. In this film, my boy Finn, he makes a new friend, Rose Tico, played by newcomer Kelly Marie Tran, and they have to go off on this one particular mission. And the place that they go looks really cool, and there's some really great ideas going on in there, but that particular storyline I felt really kind of ground the film to a halt. And Rey's parents being Spock and Uhura I thought was a very strange, interesting choice, and I heard that this movie goes in some bold directions. I didn't realize they were going to boldly go in those directions. Of course, I'm joking. Do we find out who Rey's parents are? I'm not going to tell you. Now, here's the big question. Porgs. They're fine. I didn't hate them. I didn't find them so overly cutesy that they were obnoxious. I didn't love them either. They were cute enough, and they had a couple of funny moments. Speaking of which, this is a pretty darn funny film, particularly considering how dark it is in a lot of ways. A lot of the humor goes to Poe. Poe was kind of the funniest character in The Force Awakens. He and Hux have some great little humorous moments. However, as is the case with most movies that have a bunch of jokes, some of them just don't land. The music in this film. I didn't love the score for The Force Awakens, other than, obviously, the Star Wars theme and stuff that we know. I really liked Rey's leitmotif, but a lot of it just didn't sound all that inspired and wasn't particularly memorable. This film, John Williams really brought it. The music is great. Throughout the whole film, I was like, oh, this is so good. One of the problems I have with this flick is it's got a bit of a Return of the King problem in that it just kind of keeps ending. It's got like 3 endings, and it didn't need to, particularly considering it's the longest Star Wars movie ever with a little over 2.5 hours. And the final ending itself didn't work for me. I got what they were going for, but it almost felt, now Star Wars doesn't have these, but it almost felt like a post-credit sequence. It didn't feel as important to the story, particularly to be the ending. I don't think it was strong enough to be the ending of this film. Now, I loved The Last Jedi, even though I have some problems with it. I think Rian Johnson really knocked it out of the park. Very excited to see what he's going to do with this trilogy that they're talking about. I'm not ready to figure out where I'm going to rank Last Jedi with the rest of the Star Wars films. There's so much going on in this movie. There's so much to unpack. You know, I need to sleep on it a couple more times, maybe even see it again. But suffice it to say, Rian Johnson, great job. Really enjoyed the film. Now, I don't have a proprietary rating system as of yet, so I'm just trying to figure out what I'm going to give Star Wars The Last Jedi. And I think I'm going to give Star Wars The Last Jedi a...
Here's some money. Go see a Star War.
Out of 10. So now I want to know, have you seen The Last Jedi? What did you think about it? What's your favorite Star Wars movie? Or where would you rank it amongst the Star Wars movies? Whatever your thoughts, hit the comments below. Let's discuss. If you enjoyed this review, please smash that like button and give it a share if you really enjoyed it. And hey, why not take a second, do me a favor, click subscribe to my channel for more movie reviews, entertainment news, trailer reactions, all that fun stuff. If you'd like to do so, you can click the Courtshake logo at the bottom right of your screen. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. May the Force be with you.